What's up, Neck Nation? Welcome to another episode of the NECKROOTS podcast. I'm Austin Davis. I'm here with Kyler. This is Kit James's first son right here, right? So
That's right.
We're mixing it up today. We're going to do a little interview style today and talk about some of the things that you went through. Mainly, we're going to focus on overcoming obstacles and conquering our fears, right?
That's right.
So first off, Kyler, tell me, what's it like growing up with old Kit James as your old man?
Oh, it's awesome. It's a great. It's been. There's so many experiences, so many things that I can talk about. He's such a great dad. When I was growing up, I faced a lot of hard challenges in my life, and just being able to be raised by Kit, he helped me believe in myself and believe where I could go. When I don't know, just as I was growing up, he always wanted to give us an opportunity to do things go snowboarding, snowmobiling, dirt biking. He just wanted to give it all to us because of how much he didn't really have that as he was growing up. I'm sure he's talked about that on the podcast, but he wanted to give it all to us, and that's something really special I really hold dear to my heart as I've looked back in my life. Looking back in some of the things that I remember is that he's always giving, he's always providing, and he's always there to help us be better and see a greater opportunity and really where life can take us. I couldn't ask for a better dad, and just being able to being able to do the things that I've done really has been a big influence in my life. I've seen a lot of things from how I was raised to how I performed and how I did things and how my mindset was and really who I am. It really all comes through my dad and through my parents and what they've done, and so it really, that picture right there, it really takes someone special to be a dad.
Yeah.
And really what I think is what I want to do is just give it all to my kids and always be there for them, and that's what my dad did to me. So
That's awesome, man. That's great. And you guys had a unique experience, right? So you got the dad experience with Kit, but then you
Yeah.
also you guys worked together.
That's
For a
right.
long time. Every summer you guys were doing the concrete company. What was it like being with Dad Kit, and what was it like being with work Dad Kit?
Oh man, it's crazy. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta love it. I think that really when I started doing concrete, that's where I really decided to really learn how to work hard, and it was always cool because we always woke up super early in the morning and we gotta take a ride together down to Twilla or Lehigh or wherever, and we'd always just sit and talk about life as we're going down. But just being able to see my dad work, he does not stop. He always keeps on going, all the time. And that's what he taught me is what's the next thing? What do you need to do? You got to go do this thing. Then you got to do this thing. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when I was first starting to work, I was like, holy crap, this is hard.
Yeah.
How do people do this? Right. But when we face those challenges, I feel there's always something that we could be doing. And when you find that and you have a good attitude about it, that's something I also learned from my dad is he always has a good attitude when he works. You think about, work. Some people, I know sometimes in my instance, I have a bad attitude. And when I really have a bad attitude, I don't perform well and I don't want to be there and nothing really well comes after that.
Yeah.
And so when I have a good attitude, that's something I've learned is that he's always positive. When I'm positive, I work harder. I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to just live life, work, rake concrete, do it. And then you learn, you actually want to embrace it. You want to be there. And that's really how we should live life. And that's from what I learned about my dad working. He he just loves to work. He just loves loves the process of, having that good attitude and being there and just being able to get stuff done.
Yeah, dude, he's a grinder.
Yeah, he
He's a grinder for
grinds.
sure, man.
Grinds all the
He
time.
grinds all the
Yeah.
time, always grinding. Well, that's awesome. So, Kyler, we've heard a few stories from your dad about your wrestling career, and you and I, like I've known you my whole life. You've known
Yeah.
me your whole life, right? But we've never sat down and actually talked about the wrestling. So, what was it for you? Like, how did you get into wrestling, and when did you decide that that was something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It started when I was really young. When I first started, I think I was 6 years old, 7 years old, and I wanted to wrestle. I saw this flyer. Someone told me about it. I can't remember, but I saw there was like this tournament to do to just try it out. To
Yeah.
like go to the tournament. So I went to this tournament, and there's like other people. I had no like zero experience going into this tournament. Okay, I had no experience wrestling, and my dad's like telling me what to do, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's a half Nelson? Like, what's a
Nelson?
what's a shot? I don't know what that is, dude. Like, bro, stop talking to me like that." And so I wrestled all these kids, and I lost every single match, and so I was so frustrated. I was so mad, I just had this desire to be really good, and I'm like, we got out of the tournament, and I looked over at my dad, and I'm like, "Bro, yo, I want to go. When's practice? When can I be better?" And so I started getting into practice, and I started getting to clubs, and I started to get really good. I started to like get really good until I reached the age of I can't remember, probably like 10 or 11 or 12, and then we moved. And so when I moved, all my friends were in football, so I stopped wrestling for like a couple of years, like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I went to football, and then after football, when we moved um, to where we are now, that's when I started getting back into wrestling in junior high school, and then I wrestled ever since then, and so um, something that when I got back into wrestling in junior high. I still had some of those moves from the past, but I wish I would have kept going. That's something I do regret, is I didn't keep wrestling. Um, but yeah, ever since then, wrestling has been a big part of my life so far. It's definitely shaped me and helped me learn a lot of lessons in life. You learn a lot because it's a brutal sport. It's just you and the other opponent on the mat, right? You
Yeah.
can't blame anyone else.
No, it's not a team sport, brother.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you gotta put in the work, you gotta put in the effort, you gotta put in the practice, and it really it shapes you, and it really helps you see what you can do and who you can become. And um yeah, I've done clubs, I've wrestled out of state in Las Vegas and Colorado and a bunch of other places, and um it's been a journey.
Very
Uh
cool.
yeah.
So we're talking about overcoming obstacles and overcoming challenges, right? And I can imagine that at points in your career of wrestling that there were obstacles and that there were challenges. So can you share what maybe some of those obstacles and challenges were, and then also talk about how did you overcome those?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like with wrestling or with any sport, with anything in life, I feel like there's always going to be a challenge. And so some of the challenges I faced in wrestling was definitely mentality, right? Like my mind and what I was thinking, self-doubt. Those are I had some self-doubt, going into wrestling again. Um I had just like doubt in myself, and like in the match. There had been times where I would go into this match and I would tell myself, this kid is way better than me. I don't think I'm gonna beat him. Right?
Dang.
That's a pretty that's like a pretty brutal blow. And
Yeah,
like
that's a
if
lot of pressure to put on yourself, dude.
yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, and really when you look at it that way, if you're telling yourself you're not gonna win, then you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yep.
that's definitely, I think, a problem and challenge in life, is when we face challenges, we sometimes don't believe and we doubt ourselves. And that's definitely an obstacle I faced, is that self doubt. And so Um, I feel like with that challenge, something that helped me overcome that was really having a different attitude um, going into it. I when I had this self doubt, I tried to think about what I could do to control that, and really when I thought about more of what I can do to control that was I could start I could stop doubting and start looking at what I can do. It's like the small and simple things. Right? In the match, um later on in my career of wrestling, I started to look at, okay, there's this kid, and I didn't even like look up their stats, because you can look up their stats and stuff.
Yeah.
You're going into tournaments. Like, our coaches told us not to do that. Just go in there with a fresh mind, believing that you're excited to be here. This is an awesome opportunity. Let's just go out and have fun and get stuff done. And so one thing I feel like that helped me overcome was looking at the little things that I can control and can do. I can control my attitude on how I view this opponent. If I view this opponent as being really good, then I'm telling myself he's really good and he's probably going to beat me. That's going to cause me to doubt myself.
Yeah.
When I started looking at him as, okay, this I'm here. I've worked hard, looking at all the like little small blessings that I've seen. I've improved a lot. I'm ready. And when I go in there and I just like get into it, like sometimes the kid gets nervous too. Like sometimes I had my shirt on and you can't really see like my like me at all. And when I took
You
my
were yoked. You
I
can
wa-
say it. You were yoked.
I'm not yoked. I'm not yoked. But when I would take my my shirt off, they would get like super scared. And like sometimes we don't view ourselves like that we can actually do things. And when I started saying like I can do this, like looking like saying I can do this, I can win this match, I can become someone who I know I can become, then I started viewing myself in a different way, right? I started believing in myself. I started to really put that trust and that faith in all the work I've given and just give it all to what I was in there for, what that match was I was in there for. And so I started looking at little things I can control. Sometimes I can't control what he's gonna do, but I can control what I can do.
Yeah.
And so when he was gonna shoot, I knew I was gonna sprawl and I was gonna shoot a single leg. And so just looking at what I can control helped me believe in myself, and I started seeing a lot of progress in me overcoming that. Um, and so I don't know. I guess that's something that I've learned and that I've seen is like looking at how I can control my attitude and my actions and myself in viewing other people and not comparing myself to them.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message for all of us, right? Is focusing on the things that we can control, right? Because when we start letting doubts and things enter our minds, we lose confidence. And we've talked about how important it is to have confidence. Confidence is king, man. Confidence and gratitude, those are king. Confidence in yourself to be able to accomplish something, and then having a grateful attitude. We've talked about those. Um, but when you let those doubts creep in, it erodes your confidence. And so I think that that's a great point, Kyler, is focusing on the things that we can control and preparing ourselves, because it sounds like you did quite a bit of preparation, dude. You were, from what I've heard from your dad, like you practiced harder. You first one in, last one out when it came to practice, right? You were putting in the time to improve and become better each day. And that's the attitude that you took into these matches. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And you knew, like, okay, I'm going to face this guy. I don't know what his stats are, but I know what I've done. I
Mm-hmm.
know what I've accomplished in the last, X number of weeks or X number of years as far as my improvements in wrestling. And I've got this guy dialed,
Yeah.
right? It was that mindset. So focusing on the things we can control. I love that, brother. So you also just served a mission for your church, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How long were you gone on that?
I was gone for 2 years.
2 years,
Yeah.
man. That's quite a long time. That's quite a long time to dedicate and devote time to serve like that. So share with me what were some fears and obstacles that you encountered in this service that you did for your church.
Yeah, good question. And I feel like one thing I really struggled with when I was first going onto the mission was talking to people, really, like talking to random people,
Random people walk up to strangers and
random
start a
strangers.
conversation.
That's right. Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Like what am I gonna say? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna do that? And that's something that I struggled with a lot. Was I was a little bit of an introvert.
Yeah.
And I I knew this was a weakness of mine. I knew that going into this, I would have to overcome that some way, somehow. And I feel like that was one of the big ones. I feel like, but also just like um, knowing and really knowing what to do and how to be a missionary. I didn't know really what that was when I was going into it, but I started to understand really what that meant and how it applied to what I was doing. Um, and so I don't know. I feel like one of the biggest challenges was overcoming and talking to random people, strangers, just
Yeah.
like putting myself out there, being vulnerable. You know. So that was an obstacle. And what was the other part of the question? Was it just that
So
one?
yeah, but how did you overcome those? Like
How to
what were
overcome?
some things that you did to kind of work past those fears and those obstacles?
Yeah, it's a good yeah. So something that I did, right? In order for us to really overcome something, we first have to do something, right?
Yeah.
We have to we have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And so when I first started to go out there, I was like super nervous. Like I was literally like the first door I was gonna knock, I was shaking, like literally shaking,
Yeah.
like freaked out of my mind. And so um something that I learned and I did is I I didn't doubt and I just sort of like full sent, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
I I knew that this is something I had to overcome. And so I would just you when you go out on a mission, you have someone that helps you like when you're first starting. And so that person that was there helping me first start my mission, he gave me an opportunity to do it, right? And so I just started doing it. I even if it was super awkward, I'm just like, hey man, like even it was super like you just gotta put yourself out there because when you put yourself out there, that's when it starts to become comfortable, right? When you're uncomfortable, you start to change and you start to grow, and then once I started to like put myself out there, it was easy. Like it
Yeah.
just became easy. It's just like a natural part of who I am now. I love talking to people. I love like making conversations and just getting to know people and being able to share something that I love and that I care about to them and helping them. And so, um, and I think in order for us to really overcome something and really overcome ourselves and our self doubt, is we do have to have a purpose of really why we're doing that thing. I feel like in any challenge, any situation we feel like is hard, um, there's a reason of what you're doing it for, but we have to understand why we are doing it ourselves. And so, really understanding that purpose why has also helped me overcome that challenge because I relied a lot upon, God, right?
Yeah.
I knew I had weaknesses. I knew I couldn't do this on my own, and I relied upon God. I just gave it all to him, right? I just gave it all. I put it all on the mat, as we would say, right?
Yeah.
And when I did that, when I really understand the purpose of why I'm here, what I'm doing, I saw complete growth in who I am. In wrestling, I understand why I'm wrestling. Why I go to work and I do concrete, why I serve a mission, why I teach the gospel. When I understood the why, um, it helped me face the battle and helped me overcome. And it pushed me in a place where it helped me want to grow and want to be better and gave me a greater strength that I didn't know I had. And so like, whoever your God is, he can definitely help you overcome that challenge and help you find your reason why. And that's something I really know and know to be true is that there's always a reason why behind what we are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've talked about that before, so I love that you brought that up, right? The why behind what we're doing. The why makes the how so much easier, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before. So, and I love, something that I picked out of there is when you talked about this fear of overcoming it, talking to other people that just walking up to random strangers or
Yeah.
knocking on doors, and dude, these are uncertain circumstances. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Like, nobody knows who's on the other side of that door. You don't know what they're going to say.
Yeah, it's
but
unknown.
but what it came down to was the commitment. You just had to commit, right? And shoot, so to speak, right? Shoot on the guy, so to speak. And as soon as the door opened, you were off, right? Starting making that conversation. And so that commitment is so important. I think that helps us. We get apprehensive in our lives. At least I know I get pretty apprehensive in my life when it comes to overcoming obstacles or conquering some of my fears that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, the first step is, like you said, to do, and just make that commitment and just do it. And it doesn't have to be great big things, right? You talked about small things,
Yeah.
small and simple things, taking small steps. And so that's so awesome. Well, Kyler, I'm so glad that you joined me on the podcast today. It was good talking to you, good hearing about you. You're just like your dad, dude. You can tell you've picked up all these lessons from your dad and this good attitude from your dad, and he's such a great guy. And so this was awesome. So, Neck Nation, if you like what you've heard today, if you enjoyed this content, please like this video, subscribe to the podcast, share this video, tell everybody about it. We'll bring you more interviews in the future. But for now, bless up, Neck Nation.
Bless up, baby.
Oh,
Let's go.
And by the way, this is the guy that came up with bless up. So, props
Let's
to
go.
you. Let's
Bless
go.
up.